Today on Carpooling with Ben, in honor of Veterans Day, I have the Executive Director of the Operation Stand Down Rhode Island, Mr. Erik Wallin, sir.
Ben, how are you?
Thank you. And you're an Air Force
I am.
Veteran.
Yes.
When did you serve?
So I was in from 1998 until 2002.
Wow.
And had a fabulous time. I was a JAG.
Okay.
So, it was you can't handle the truth kind of stuff.
All right. Very well. Wow, there we go. There you go.
It was a great experience.
Every time, when you start the day, did you play the JAG music, that TV show? Did you play?
Oh, absolutely, sure. And a lot of people ask me what I flew.
What did you fly?
Usually Southwest.
Oh, very good. All right. It's you didn't fly the friendly skies.
No.
You flew Southwest.
So they always assume, you say Air Force, they think you've been a pilot.
Sure.
That's the first question. Well, what'd you fly?
Well, okay. So, anytime first class, or was it always
No,
cargo?
Not first class. So
cargo?
Yeah, something along those lines. Listen, you don't want to fly in a C-130 in the cargo hold.
I've seen the seats down at the when they do the open house for the air show.
Yeah, those are the new ones too.
Those are the new ones.
Those are the brand new ones.
Jeez.
That's the deluxe model.
Where was your? Where did you go when you were serving?
So I was sent to Seaside in Ohio.
Okay.
Because if they know that you're from a state where you like the ocean, and everything, the military of course sends you the furthest place you can go for. Lovely in Ohio.
Lovely beaches,
beautiful
over
beaches.
There. Great surfing.
But no, I did Ohio, and then I was in Washington D.C. at Bowling Air Force Base.
Wow.
And then traveled all around the country trying cases along the eastern seaboard and east of the Mississippi. So it was fun. Got to see the country.
Jeez.
That's the best part of the military.
Yeah, you get plenty of travel, and absolutely, you don't even need to call Liberty Travel or anything like that. They'll take care of that for you.
They make the travel arrangements.
It's a beautiful thing.
Accommodations and everything.
It's nothing but the best.
Yeah.
When you got out, what did you do when you came back to Rhode Island?
So I came back and ended up becoming a prosecutor at the Attorney General's office,
okay.
which I did for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
It was again back in the courtroom, which I enjoyed very much.
Sure.
And an element of public service, and then ultimately found my way to Operation Stand Down.
So you've been part of Operation Stand Down now for a number of years. What's the general mission of Operation Stand Down Rhode Island?
So Stand Down is about giving veterans in need a hand up, not a handout.
Okay.
We're a nonprofit organization. We were founded here in Rhode Island by Tony DeQuattro, who's a Johnston native.
Very good man.
He's an amazing guy.
He is
a fixture in Rhode Island.
Absolutely. Now. And he will tell you like it is.
Yes, he will.
He does not mince words. I love that guy.
Absolutely. And, one thing that brought him to the whole mission was that, now it's been almost 25 years Stand Down's been around, founded in 1993. And back then he was looking out, and he was a Vietnam-era veteran, and he saw still a couple of scores of years later, Vietnam veterans on the street, homeless, the government, the state not really doing anything to solve the problem. Mm-hmm. And so he and a group of other Vietnam-era veterans got together to start Stand Down to try to make that difference. And, the idea was we do and still do to this day, we build a military tent city.
Right.
Up at Diamond Hill State Park.
Right, you just had that not too long ago.
We did. It's a third week in September every year. And we bring in every kind of state and service and federal service that you can imagine, other nonprofits. Kind of looks like MASH 4077.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the first time I went to go be part of the opening ceremonies there, I walked in, and MASH is one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
I love MASH. I love the dry humor and comedy of it, but it was also a very good look at a lot of different aspects. And I walked in, and I'm thinking, all right, where's Radar? Where's Klinger? Right. Is there a guy in a dress running around here? Where's Klinger? But it's very impressive what you have, because you have the DMAT unit, the medical team.
Yeah, we have a medical team there. We have dental services there.
You have podiatrists,
ophthalmologists. Of course, being a lawyer, I've got to get other lawyers involved.
Sure.
So we have been working with the courts. So we bring the district court, the traffic tribunal, the DMV, all there. And we actually hold sessions of court to help veterans with legal issues.
Right. Well, because, and that's the whole thing. You said it right at the beginning, and that's the motto that rings throughout. It's a hand up, not a handout. And being from the legal system, that there's been times where there's something that a veteran may not even be aware of, or it happened so long ago they forget, and that's what's prohibiting them from either getting any kind of their benefits or a job.
Yeah.
And it really just it's this littlest thing that's okay. They need to do the process.
Yeah.
And you guys take care of that, and then.
Well, and that's the whole idea of that was the idea behind Stand Down Weekend. Take care of those immediate needs so that folks can come back and recharge their batteries, take care of the things that are impeding them the most so they can go back out, not on the battlefield in terms of a war battlefield, but on the battlefield of life to really fight for themselves this time.
Sure.
Instead of for us. And so that was the premise behind Stand Down. And now, almost 25 years later, it has grown immensely.
Yeah.
We have 88 units of housing around the state, both permanent and transitional housing for veterans.
Yep.
We also help another, almost 2,000 veterans a year we serve, and that includes in our housing. We provide temporary financial assistance to veterans to put them in housing in the community, employment and training. Again, a job changes your life.
Sure.
But a lot of, veterans are facing a lot of challenges, especially even now this new generation of veterans coming back after our longest period of war, trying to get back into their lives.
The housing units, you have them located throughout the state. I know you guys just recently opened up one down in Westerly.
Yeah.
You have the facility in Johnston where you guys are headquartered out of. Where are the other units?
So we are literally from one end of the state to the other. We're from Woonsocket to Westerly.
All right.
And West Warwick to Newport. So
there you go.
There's housing in Providence, West Warwick, Woonsocket, Westerly, Johnston, which is our headquarters. And then we have a service office in Newport.
The other services you provide throughout the year, the ongoing services, you guys do coaching for these guys that are within the program and helping to encourage them. You help with job placement. Talk about that whole getting guys and hearing about the jobs.
Sure. Jobs are, like I said before, it's the key to changing someone's life. And what we had in this last, round of wars, both in Iraq, Afghanistan, and then, of course, the aftermath, is a lot of people going back, not just once, but twice, three, sometimes four times. A lot of these folks were Guard members and reserve members. That's kind of what was changing while I was in. We were beginning to shift a lot of different missions over to the Guard and Reserve from the active duty. So what you had was, your neighbors down the street, the people that you saw at the real estate agency, the coffee shop, working in the cubicle next to you, leaving their jobs, going away. And a lot of times, believe it or not, they don't have to keep your job open. Some companies do. They choose to do that.
Right.
But it's really only the federal government and municipal government by contract have to hold a job for a vet.
Right.
So these vets were coming back. And not only did they face the prospect of their job being done away with or someone else having taken it, but they also were coming back in a bad economy. Rhode Island had one of the worst unemployment rates during much of that time.
Sure.
Add to that, these deployments have definitely created a lot of what I refer to as the invisible scars of war, PTSD, traumatic brain injuries. So not only were they having a difficulty readjusting to their family life, to the community, but also in the job setting. So at Stand Down, when we have a veteran who comes in who's been unemployed or had unstable employment or is underemployed, our case managers will work with them. We pay for short-term training programs, upgrade their skills. We work and we work with all sorts of employers from companies like Cardi's and Home Depot and G-Tech and CVS, you name it, big, small, to find a good fit for that veteran.
Yeah.
And make sure they have the skills going in so that they can keep that job and excel.
How important is the brotherhood and the camaraderie during the stand down, during the encampment, when you do it in September, you really see, I think one year you guys actually had an area where there was just a bunch of logs and guys would just kind of migrate over to that area, pull up a log, and they were talking to each other. And how important is that consistent brotherhood and sisterhood, because there are female veterans that you guys work with as well, to just know that somebody's there going through the same thing.
It's big. So we think that that's what makes Stand Down different from a lot of other agencies that help with homelessness and unemployment. First of all, we're all veterans or our immediate family members of veterans that work at Stand Down. So there is that connection to that person who's coming in asking for help. They feel more comfortable asking from us because we have walked in their shoes or at least had similar and common experiences. But for them, they can't use their experience in the military as an excuse for why they're having the problems they're having when they're around other veterans.
Sure.
I always compare, everybody has struggles in life, but someone who's been deployed 2 or 3 times to a combat zone and seen the kinds of horrible things they do in war, when they come back and they're sitting next to maybe an 18-year-old that's struggling with drugs and they're struggling with a dependency that's the result of maybe over-medication through the VA or what have you, when they're looking at that person, they're not in an environment where that person is going to relate to the problems they've had. If they're surrounded by other veterans and they say, well, you don't know what I've been through, if they're with another veteran, the veteran's going to say, yeah, and I've picked myself up and I've moved my life forward, and so there is no excuse for you. Right. Stop using your service as a crutch.
Right. Sometimes people like myself, I'm not a veteran. I know plenty of people. I have family that have served in the military, but I can't relate. And so the first thing I have is obviously gratitude. And then if it's a difficult situation, I have sympathy and an apathy, which is not wrong.
No, those are great things to have.
But at some point you need that tough love.
Correct. And
the only person that can do it is a person who has been in the same shoes and walked the same path and been part of that whole experience of being deployed.
No, I think that's a key element. I think it's one of the reasons why we're so successful. And what's really neat about Stand Down is that we have over the years, and now I've been at Stand Down for enough years to start seeing this, we have veterans who have come to us, they've maybe lived with us, or they've been to Stand Down a few times, or we've got them a placement in a job, and then all of a sudden they come back, but now they're coming back to volunteer at Stand Down weekend.
That's great.
Or they're calling up because they just found out about a job in the workplace that they were at and they wanted to see if we knew somebody else. And that's really when you know that you're making a big difference and that it's made an impression on their lives, that maybe they felt they were forgotten or cast to the side, but they've been able to put their life back together and now they want to reach out and help someone else.
I'm going to give people a little insight into how the Stand Down weekend is organized and also how order is maintained.
Yeah.
Tony DeQuattro.
Oh.
One of the greatest. Tony, I know you're watching because you're big on social media. You've got everything. He's not big on social media.
Oh, he's got a Facebook page.
He does. He does have a Facebook page. He posts from time to time. But I'll never forget the first one I went to. And you've got a lot of people there, a lot of these guys, and let's face it, sometimes guys can get a little rowdy.
Oh, yeah.
Tension may brew, perhaps.
Yes, that has happened.
Tony gets up behind the microphone and says, here's the deal. There's no policeman here. It's us, the Leathernecks. We'll maintain the order. Yeah. I don't think you guys had a problem.
No.
I don't think there was a problem after, he sets a very clear message.
Yeah, well, Tony is, he always has done it from the heart. That's where it comes from.
That's what makes him so great.
Really poured his life into Stand Down. And not that any of us really falter from the mission, but I always say to new staff and remind the staff that's there that, if you begin to lose sight, you're going to feel this really hard thing coming up from behind you, and it's going to be Tony kicking you in the butt, so to speak.
Sure.
Because it is about the veterans.
Right.
And as some, at times it can get frustrating, but the rewards of what you do and how that changes people's lives so make it worth it. But Tony is a dominant personality at Stand Down weekend, at Operation Stand Down, and
love the guy.
It's tough being Air
awesome,
Force, though, because he's Marine.
Well, yes.
So I take a lot of ribbing.
Tony, your entire staff is top notch. I mean, we're driving through Johnston and Scituate here. We're actually passing the Rhode Island State Police headquarters. Yep. A gentleman who recently retired from part of the leadership here
Yeah.
is on your staff.
Two, actually.
Two of them.
Yep. I just we have Captain Quarry,
Okay.
who works for me now,
Yep.
and Major Bill Jameson just came on board.
Wow.
So again, both of them Marines.
Yep.
And then went and became state police officers. So those are the kind of qualities that we like to see in our staff. They do whatever the job is. I always say there's no job too big or too small that stand out.
Sure.
So you pull up your sleeves,
Hey,
roll
listen.
them up, and do it.
I've seen you carry papers around. I've seen you carry trash bags around.
Oh yeah.
Empty ones, full ones. It doesn't matter. Everybody does what needs to be done, and that's and I think that's a message that isn't really. It's not something you print out and you put on a billboard. It's a message that it's by example to these guys and men and women that are going through your program, that you're not using the excuse of just because you're the executive director, just because you have a degree in law and you've done all this stuff, you're not above cleaning the bathroom.
Right. No, absolutely not.
And
And frankly, it's nice sometimes to get out there and get your hands dirty.
Sure.
Dig through a trailer and what have you.
yeah, it's
You've
therapeutic.
Seen it's therapeutic, and it's good for weight loss too.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you saying? Maybe I should. Maybe you got a trailer or something. I can
We'll find a
clean.
trailer for you.
Well, absolutely, I can clean something out. You guys have some great, very outstanding community partners. Cardi's. Obviously, I know, done a ton of work with you guys.
Absolutely.
Helping with furniture and mattresses and bedding and pillows for these guys and girls. But there's also a gentleman who helps you to secure the real estate. Is it Pagliarini?
Yeah, John Pagliarini does our real estate work for us. He's an attorney.
Yeah.
And that's the night we get a lot of support in the community. A company like Cardi's is a partner with us in so many different ways, not only helping us promote our events, but also helping us with our outreach, but hiring veterans too. I mean, they've
Sure.
got a great guy on their staff that's a veteran.
Ken up in South Attleboro.
And you know what he does? He stops by and he drops off food for the food pantry in Newport.
He's great.
Another example.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of support you need. We're a Rhode Island nonprofit. We help the people who make donations or people who support us with in-kind donations. That stuff stays local.
Yeah.
So it's about helping our fellow Rhode Islanders and those in the surrounding areas.
What other events come up and where is the help needed? I mean, people think about the veterans, and it's very nice that people will put up some really nice phrases and sayings on Facebook and Instagram over this weekend.
Sure.
But if people want to get more involved and do something and really make a difference as they go into the Christmas and the holiday season, the New Year, what are some of the needs that anybody watching can help out?
Food is huge.
Okay.
We have food pantries at all of our locations. So in Johnston, West Warwick, Westerly, and Newport. And food is a demand. Families are struggling to feed their kids, to feed themselves, the veterans. And so any veteran can come to our food pantries, but it relies completely on donated goods.
Okay.
So folks who want to do something that's substantive and really will help, donate food, or get your organization you're associated with or your place of employment to do a food drive for us.
Okay.
That's a great way. And then we have other things that we do throughout the year. You might remember Boots on the Ground.
Yes, that was an extremely poignant exhibit at the Temple of Music.
Temple of Music, Roger Williams Park. We laid out 6,844 boots representing every fallen American service member in the War on Terror. And these boots were put out not just by my staff, but by dozens and dozens of volunteers, even Gold Star families.
Yeah.
And so we're going to do that again this coming Memorial Day.
Oh, great.
And it's going to we're going to have a Gold Star Gala
Okay.
prior to it.
When is that?
Looks like it's the Wednesday or Thursday before Memorial Day.
Great.
And we'll have that information on our website at OSDRI.org.
Awesome.
And then we're again going to display those boots with, unfortunately and sadly, some additional ones. And have a patriotic concert on the Sunday before Memorial Day at the Temple to Music.
That's phenomenal.
We look for volunteers to help us with events like that. Those things do a lot of good. They not only remind us of what the cost of freedom is, but they also, provide an opportunity to outreach to this younger generation of veterans.
Erik, you have such amazing support from so many different organizations. We've mentioned Cardi's, Home Depot, but also Citizens Bank, and community-wise, as far as like the hiring events, those are
Right.
very important as well. So you guys actually host one yourself.
We do. So we, at least once a year, sometimes twice, have a job fair.
Okay.
And we've done them at Bryant and CCRI
Right.
with just a tremendous turnout, both in terms of employers as well as veterans. And that's interesting, and it's good because a lot of times you go to job fairs and all that's there are employers. So we get a good turnout of veterans looking for work and a nice match of employers. The Citizens Bank or GTEC or CVS, these are the kinds of entities that are coming to us, as well as in Cardi's and as well as smaller companies as well. We've had painting companies. We discovered a moving company just run by Marines recently,
Really?
who we use now, Movers of Honor.
Okay.
And we use them when we have to move a veteran from one place to another. But we met them through the job fair. It was a young Marine who had gotten out, served in Iraq or Afghanistan, I can't remember which, and he started his own company. So we used them, and we met him at a job fair that we were hosting, and they hired some veterans from the job fair.
That's excellent.
So that's the synergy, really, and that's what's great about being the local veteran nonprofit, so that we can work with all of these great partners in the community.
That's fantastic. About what time does Tony DeQuattro get in the office in the morning, and how much coffee does he drink throughout the day?
So it's 10:30 on the dot.
Okay, 10:30 on the dot.
And that's moved up a half hour.
Okay, all right.
So at 10:30, by 10:45, he's on what I call the perch, or his office, which is outside, with a cigar, making sure that he's keeping track of the comings and goings. And then usually he'll depart around 2, 3 o'clock for nap time.
I got it. I mean, and that's not saying any kind of, that's not a dig of, he comes in early. I mean, he's
a volunteer.
He's on the clock. Nine. Oh my stop. God. No. I mean, I know.
I've got the cell phone.
I know.
7:30 at night, he'll have an idea.
Absolutely, and you know what? You're going to listen to that.
Oh my, yeah. Well, somebody said, "Well, how did he get you to come work at Stand Down?" I said, "It was very easy. He just told me that's what I'm doing."
There you go. Absolutely. Tony DeQuattro, he is just a force. I love that guy.
But he is, and he will, and that's the thing. And it doesn't. It doesn't matter whether it's something big about the organization or an individual veteran. Tony will answer a call late at night. He'll call us for, if something has to get done for a veteran or for one of our residents. And that's that's something, there's something about having the founder of an organization still a part of it some 25 years later.
As a volunteer.
He doesn't make a dime. And it's all done from his heart, and that's what pushes us. We see that and we follow that lead.
Sure.
But he's not afraid to speak his mind, and he's been a big advocate for a number of veterans issues in this state. And when people are saying that they're going to do something for veterans and not do it, he'll be the one to call them out on it.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of voice you need, and that's the freedom that he has.
This could be the Tony DeQuattro tribute hour.
Well, we could do a tribute hour. I could do an imitation, but I'm not going to.
I haven't figured out how to use the bleep buttons or anything, because he doesn't mince words.
No.
And he's very. I mean, listen, greatest guy you'd ever meet until you cross that line, and then he is. I don't. Is a pit bull the right word?
Listen, I have a poignant.
No, not pit bull, but he's
bulldog.
I was thinking more of like a mountain lion or a bobcat or something. Yeah.
I can recall being at a breakfast with a number of elected officials and a table full of folks that were there to get some awards, and they were giving Tony some sort of recognition at this breakfast. And as I'm sitting there with some other staff members and I'm looking at my plate of eggs and bacon and the assorted things that combine on the plate, I hear Tony up at the podium talking about that nobody understands what it's like to be sitting in a foxhole and having your friend's brains splattered all over you. And I'm saying to myself, well,
breakfast was
that's it for the breakfast. I'm good.
But he
doesn't mince words.
He doesn't, and the whole point is because he does not want to see his brothers and sisters left in the battlefield of their own mind.
Right, and that's really where we're seeing the biggest issues with veterans. Again, this era of veterans have a very high post-traumatic stress disorder, rate of return. They've got traumatic brain injuries. They're having some real significant challenges with the Veterans Administration and the VA medical centers around the country. And we've got 22 veterans a day killing themselves in this country. 22 veterans every single day commit suicide. So we have to make sure that they are getting access to quality mental health care, that the services are easily accessible and that they know how to get them. And that phone is picked up when they do call for help.
Sure.
So that's one of the most important advocacy issues that veterans are facing right now, as well as trying to get the benefits that they have earned for service-connected disabilities approved, so that one, they're eligible for VA care, and two, that they can get the financial support they need to pay the bills.
Sure. With the holidays coming, people may want to do something to help a veteran, and even with the colder weather, if people want to drop off a warm jacket or even a gift card to a business so that a veteran can get a warm jacket or something, they can just reach out to you guys through the website.
Absolutely. So yeah, and those are the kinds of things. Small denomination gift cards are great. Whether it's given directly to the veteran for their need, or if we have a veteran that comes in and, let's say, needs a particular size pair of boots or something, we can drive that person out to get those boots. Food, warm clothing like coats, hats, gloves, new hats and gloves, but coats are fine.
And socks,
warm socks. Those are the kinds of clothing. A lot of times we do get a lot of clothing at Stand Down, and
Sure.
I've had a mountain of stuff that really no one's going to wear.
Yeah.
But what we're really looking for is that kind of stuff that will keep a veteran warm, like a coat, a hat, and a glove.
Great. Anything else that we should discuss before we break off here, as far as if kind of your last pitch to the viewers?
Well, Ben, I think that if people want to do something important for veterans or to thank a veteran, the best way to do it is to provide something like donate food, or reach out to Operation Stand Down and ask us, what particular needs there might be during that time of year for a veteran. Make sure you thank a veteran for their service. And if you have an older veteran, keep an eye on that person. Make sure they're not alone. Make sure that if you don't see them for a while, you're checking on them. Help them with their driveway this winter. All those kinds of things, the small, nice things that I think we all used to do in a different world, but now we have to think about doing. Those are the kinds of things that can help somebody.
Awesome. Eric, thank you so much.
Hey, my pleasure,
Thank you for
Ben.
your service, and thank you to everybody who works over there at Operation Stand Down, an outstanding organization. Please go learn more about them. You can find the link in the show notes there. Eric, thanks so much for taking the ride.
Thanks for giving me a ride.